On a hot July afternoon, 7 of the oldest flying airplanes still in mint, restored condition approached Stearman Field in Benton, just east of Wichita. These biplanes and monoplanes, all Travel Airs built in Wichita nearly a century ago, arrived from across the nation to mark a milestone, the 100th anniversary of the Travel Air Manufacturing Company.
This is a big deal, the 100th anniversary. Built in Wichita, Kansas, and Travel Airs.
Scott Glover of Mount Pleasant, Texas, arrives with his Travel Air Model 6000, built in 1929. This beautifully restored plane first served as an airliner at the beginning of airliner service in the U.S. Delta Air Service, later named Delta Airlines, bought a fleet of Wichita-built Travel Air 6000s to begin Delta's airline service.
So this aircraft actually would hold a total of 7 people. The aircraft was bought brand new by Pittsburgh Airways. So it flew Pittsburgh, Philly, and New York passenger service in 1929. A short period of time, then the Depression hit, and then everything fell apart.
Here's why knowing and understanding the Travel Air story is important in Kansas. 3 aviation pioneers, Clyde Cessna, Lloyd Stearman, and Walter Beach, pooled their resources and aviation knowledge to form Travel Air. They built planes in a building that remains today in the 500 block of West Douglas in the Delano neighborhood. By 1928, Travel Air became the largest volume maker of airplanes in the U.S.
Because Travel Air grew so fast, and the people were interested and wanted those particular airplanes that they built. And so the market demand just happened to be just at the right point.
And that market demand forced the company to move from Delano to Central and Webb Road in factory space that later became Beach Aircraft and now Textron Beach. Travel Air merged with Curtiss Wright in August 1929, which relocated the Travel Air to St. Louis.
100 years later, and I think generations and generations just haven't passed down the legacy that the city has in terms of its aviation heritage.
It's a heritage, he says, that made Wichita the air capital. It's a legacy Jennifer Pitt is particularly connected to. Her grandparents were Walter and Olive Ann Beach.
My grandparents, for sure. I just wanted to go, and I actually love hearing the stories, meeting the old pilots. I love hearing the stories, just how they loved their planes, how it used to be back in the olden days.
So when Pitt heard that the Travel Air Restorers Association was coming, she knew she had to connect with them. Pitt, with her close friend Hugo Castillo taking video and photos, met the Travel Air owners at Jabera Airport in northeast Wichita. They had arranged to take flights in 2 open-air cockpit planes. Travel Air built both open-air and fully enclosed cabin planes. Pitt was getting a lifetime opportunity to experience the rushing wind across her face that early-day pilots and passengers experienced. She just wasn't certain how much she liked that, though.
It was scary, a little bit.
She had only flown in a Travel Air once before, she says, so admits having some jitters.
But yes, I find it nerve-wracking with open cockpit. For sure, I was white knuckling it the first time. Second time I was better, and the third time, this time I think I was a little bit better, but this is scary.
Her experience reminded her of a noted story in the book about her grandparents, the Barnstormer and the Lady, which Pitt is getting republished, adding new photos and details not in the first publication.
I was thinking about the first time when I went up, and how my grandfather took my grandmother on one of their first dates, and she said, "Don't do any funny business." He did all these loop-de-loops. She kind of hid underneath the seat when he looked around to find her and realized she wasn't there. Got scared and searched all over, couldn't find her. And just when I was flying around in the plane, that thought came to me, a story.
And according to the book, Mr. Beach thought Olive Ann had been thrown from the plane. It was Olive Ann's way of getting back at Walter for doing aerial stunts when she had insisted on a no-thrills flight. Well, Pitt and Castillo got the no-thrill flights, which she says was thrilling enough. In the air, she felt a connection to her grandparents, she says.
I was amazed that back in the day that all three, Walter, Clyde Cessna, and Stearman worked together to form this company. And you're thinking about you're flying in this 100-year-old airplane. It's quite, they're all beautifully restored, but it's still amazing to think that they were 100 years old.
Pitt wishes more Wichitans knew Wichita's aviation history, the stories of Travel Air, and before it, Swallow Aircraft, where Walter Beach got his start in Wichita.
And to think that he designed this 100 years ago and that back in the day.
Those companies established Wichita as the air capital. The other family-named companies, Beach, Cessna, Stearman, Boeing Wichita, and Learjet, came later.
It's an incredible story when you think about it.
And it's a story we at PBS Kansas have championed in telling. But the question is raised. Did Wichita miss an opportunity to celebrate a significant historical milestone of Travel Air's centennial?
They didn't do it much. I don't think most people knew that it was a centennial. I mean, I think we could have really done a big, huge splash.
Yeah, I'll show you the airplane.
It's aviation history, not lost on Travel Air owners like Glover. This was a dust-covered plane in an Arkansas hangar when Glover found it in 1997. Then came the long restoration.
Ended up putting about 30,000 man-hours in the airplane.
This plane is historic. After its short life as a Delta airliner, it became a firefighting plane.
This serial number became the very first aircraft that a smoke jumper jumped out of into a fire. And so, pretty amazing. You know, that's something that's relatively common today, but back then it was the very beginning. They had all the seats taken out and they would jump. And so this was an original smoke jumper for Johnson Aviation.
These owners help keep the Travel Air history alive.
You definitely have a passion for it. None of us do this for money. I mean, you end up, we've got this airplane, I probably have 2 to 3 times more in it than it would bring today on the market. But, you know, it's not for sale. And people like me, you know, we're stewards of these airplanes for a period of time. You know, we don't live forever.
What's a bit sad is that people outside of Wichita perhaps recognize the importance of this history more than locals do, even those employed in the aviation industry.
They were a serious manufacturer building amazing aircraft, even by today's standards.
And it's why we strive to keep the stories and history alive here. This is Chris Frank for Positively Kansas.